Hello, good afternoon. So this is teacher Kimi Gitari, a student in CPIS in the class of Manchu. So for the day, we'll discuss about the theories of learning, and I've chosen the work of Sir Lev Vygotsky, which is a socio-cultural theory. So before we dig in with the theory of Sir Lev Vygotsky, let us first dig in with his life before he pursued or before he developed this theory. So Sir Lev Vygotsky is a Russian psychologist and developmentalist born during the Russian Empire, and wherein there is severe persecution of Jews. Therefore, he needs to enter in the university using the quota system and had entered in lottery system. And because of this, he was luckily entered and allowed to go to university, but banned from formally studying philosophy, and graduated from Moscow University with a law degree in 1917, but also studied history and philosophy. Began seriously studying psychology at the Institute of Psychology in Moscow in 1924 and became a researcher too. So let us now proceed with this theory of Cyril Vygotsky, which is the socio-cultural theory. So according to him, all learnings is social, meaning to say knowledge is always socially constructed or being affected by his society. Then culture shapes our learning and cognitive development. The works of Sir Vygotsky has become the foundation of much research and theory in cognitive development. And over the past several decades of what has become known as a sociocultural theory, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory views human development as a socially mediated process in which children acquire their cultural values, belief, and problem-solving strategies through collaborative dialogues with more knowledgeable others or support members from their society. Vygotsky's theory is comprised with the concept as the culture-specific tools, private speech, and the zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development is an area wherein the children or the students need the support of the more knowledgeable other. So they can be the tutors, the adults, or can be the teachers. That is why there is a very great role of these adults in the learning process. According to him, adults convey to children the ways culture sees the world. So adults share meanings, they attach an event or object. Adults also need to describe discoveries of previous generations and help them to connect the children to their history. We don't have to discover what those before us has learned, and culture shapes our learning and development. Learning is both social and culturally based inside the situation wherein it was learned. So every culture passes down physical and cognitive tools. Physical tools like pencils, scissors, computers, and any tools that the students can learn or can ignite their cognition. So it can be cognitions, can be language, mathematics, symbols, or any laws. So this should be passed on to children to make learning and development easier. Again, see the social, cultural, and historic connection. Learning is connected with these tools. So let us proceed with the thoughts and language. So what is the role of language? So thought and language became increasingly interdependent in the first few years of life. For adults and other children, thoughts and language are closely connected. Separate function for babies on toddlers, language a means to communicate, not thoughts. So you are using the language. If you want to communicate with them, if you want to impart knowledge, you use language. And this also proceed with the inner speech. So inner speech is a self-talk. A self-talk turns into inner speech and mentally guiding one. So this is the medium, or this is the medium or media of transferring knowledge to children, and it becomes the internalization of students. A cultural language is a tool passed on to new generations. So complex mental process begin as social activities gradually evolve into independent and internal mental activities. So as children discuss events, objects with more knowledgeable others like the tutors, teachers, the adults, began to incorporate these thoughts into their own thinking. So internalization, just what I've mentioned, is the process which the social activities evolve into internal mental activities, wherein the self-talk, okay, the self-talk or the inner speech, okay, used as the medium to transfer the knowledge. And now the students, as the receiver of the knowledge, will now internalize the informations and become the knowledge. Peers and other older children or the adults can also be more knowledgeable others. So that is why here in this theory, it's been initiated that the students should be placed in a peer or in a collaborative work. That's why society has a vital role in learning. Discussions, debates, arguments teaches the children that there are multiple ways to see same situations, process, and become internalized, because in a certain culture, there are different ways in how to solve a problem. So there are different ways. So it depends upon how these knowledgeable others, like the adult tutors, will give the information to students. So all learning are social. And children also can perform more challenging tasks when helped by more knowledgeable others. So child, as the actual development level, the upper limits of tasks that the learner can successfully perform alone, and the child levels of potential development, the upper limits of tasks that the learner can successfully perform with the help of a more knowledgeable other, and learning is social process. So the more knowledgeable other will try to connect, okay, try to connect what the students can do and what the students can do, and the students will do it alone. So from the students, what they can do, the more knowledgeable other will connect now what they can do so that the students can do the task that they can't do. So challenging tasks promote maximum cognition. So here in the child zone of proximal development, so zone of proximal development, just what I've mentioned earlier, this is the area wherein the students can't do it alone. So they need the more knowledgeable other or the adults, support group, tutors, in order for them to attain the knowledge during this area. The range of tasks as a learner can perform with the help of the others. So children can learn little by performing the task, and they can learn do it alone. So develop by trying tasks they can do only with the help with their ZPT. In teaching, some tasks should require more knowledgeable other. Some should be worked on together by students of equally ability. Each child has unique ZPT. That is why in learning, the teacher should be the source of knowledge. He or she must be equipped with knowledge so that he or she can impart the knowledge needed by the student. So we have here the play allows children to cognitively stretch themselves. So if you try to see, we have in school wherein the students are put in a certain group, and there they will study as a collaborative way. They will play, um, they will train, maybe they will do something. So it's a vital role. So play is a valuable training for adult world and culture. So play is often social in nature, and its culture determines what is acceptable to play. Then here, after that, the students will develop the social construction of meaning. So adults help children attach to the meaning of objects or events. Then we have here the words. We have the mediated learning experience, discussion between the adult or child, where adult helps child or children make sense of event they both experience. So children can accomplish more with help of others, and also happens with peers, with groups, and that, as the saying goes, we have the two heads are better than one. So that's why in the zone of proximal development, where in the more knowledgeable other gives support, we have here in the works of Lev Vygotsky, we have the more knowledgeable other, or this, and we have also the scaffolding. So what is scaffolding? Just what, like in the picture, scaffolding is a support Okay, is support, wherein the guidance or the structure, the more knowledgeable others provide to help the learners perform the task in his or her CPD. So scaffolding method yun. So scaffolds should be used until the learner has internalized or has learned a certain behavior. And then examples of scaffolding we are using in school, we have the outlines, guidelines, checklists. Then we have a quiz. Then the students will try to requiz it, do it again until they happen to learn that certain task. Then we have strategies, plans, modeling, demonstrating. So these are the different strategies in order to support these students. So contemporary applications, dynamics, and assessment. So rather than assess what students can do alone, assessing what they can do with scaffolding, assess students' ability. So as a teacher, it's very prerequisite with us during our first day of meeting or first week of meeting, we try to diagnose the capabilities of students, what they can do. In this way, we can generate what strategies should be used to teach them. Then we have also dynamic assessment provides info about the child's thinking, process, ability to learn, allowing teachers to do better guide future instruction. Not to be used all the time, but can be helpful. So usually we are using this one in the first day or first week of the lesson. So again, the goal of this one is to know the capabilities of the students, and let's try to develop a certain strategy or support to let the students do it. So as a parting word, so let's get a word from Sir Levygotsky. It is through others that we become ourselves. So without the others, we cannot develop ourselves. That's according to Sir Levygotsky. So what a child can do in cooperation today, he can do it alone tomorrow. Thank you very much. This is Teacher Kimi, and thank you, Magbalo.